I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your classic Raw is War review for January 22nd, 2001, live from the Cajundome in Lafayette, Louisiana. The Royal Rumble 2001 just happened, and the winner was Stone Cold Steve Austin. As we kick off this episode of Raw, we have Triple H himself coming down to the ring. Of course, it's 2001. He's coming down to the ring and he's very upset. Why? Because he did not win that WWE title from Kurt Angle at the pay-per-view like he said he was going to do. He said one man prevented him from winning that title, and no, it wasn't Kurt Angle. That man was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's still very upset at Stone Cold Steve Austin because he kept screwing him out of his title. The title that he was supposed to get. He felt that he had to get that title, but he just didn't because Stone Cold screwed him. Kurt Angle comes down to the ring and he says, Triple H, you should change your name, Triple H, to WWW for wah, 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 because you're always whining and complaining about every single little thing. He says, you know what, Triple H, why do you always got to have a sledgehammer or a car or an object or a steel chair? Why can't you just win on, I don't know, natural ability? Oh my gosh, Kurt Angle was the expert. Of course, Stephanie is by Triple H's side, and she doesn't like all these insults either. And Trish Stratus comes down to the ring. She says, Stephanie, you know, I tried to be friends with you. I tried to be cool with you, but, you know, you wouldn't let that happen. And she wants to have a match. Kurt Angle and Triple H want to have the match, so they pretty much set up their own matches so Triple H and Kurt Angle can have a match, and Stephanie and Trish Stratus can have a match. Making their own matches over here. Stephanie says that she is going to make Trish Stratus her, and they beep it out. It's PG-14, but yes, they still beep everything out. I don't know if I mentioned, but this episode of Raw got a 5.6 rating. I don't have my rating sheet, but I remember. Anyways, so that's all set up. Michael Cole's interviewing Vince about these two matches that just took place. Of course, Vince showed up in his limo, and he has no idea what's coming on. Why is Vince so late to Monday Night Raw? He should be there. It's like his baby or something, right? Anyways, he's like, you know what? I'm the boss around here. They may have set up these matches, but I'm going to take these matches under advisement. So he's really pushing that catchphrase, you know. European title match. William Regal, the champion, the European champion, versus Test. Now, I had no idea that this was a feud. Even though I had been doing these Raw reviews, I didn't know this was an actual feud. I thought that the attack on Test by William Regal during the hardcore match was a random occurrence. I thought when he came down and pushed Test off the top turnbuckle while he's trying to do his Macho Man elbow, that was a happenstance as well. I thought it was just kind of random. But apparently it wasn't. This is a feud. I had no idea. Because Test was going for the hardcore title and William Regal's fighting Stone Cold Steve Austin in main events. I mean, randomness. But anyways, they have the title match. And there was a sneak attack that caused Test to get eliminated, I believe. Or somebody got eliminated. It was either one of them. I can't remember. It wasn't important because, man, this feud, yeah. So Regal gets on the microphone before the match. He says he's going to be like a thorn in the side. It's going to make Test feel like he's been hacked up by a bloody hatchet. The match lasts less than a minute and a half. Yes, because there's a big boot, big slam to William Regal. Test goes to the top rope and does the elbow drop expertly as he does. And 1, 2, 3, Test is the new European champion. I love Test. He's one of my favorite guys. I wanted him to go far. He had a great look. He had a great size. He had great ability. Everything about him I thought was really good and had a lot of promise. But somewhere after he had the little angle with Triple H and Stephanie, Triple H went and Test went. But somehow or another, he wins the European title. I don't really understand this. From what I have heard, I've heard two different things. That William Regal was having some drug and alcohol problems at the time. Don't know if that's true. I also heard that he was hurt somehow. None of that has really been verified. I'm sure that somebody watching this video has the story on that, but whatever it was, William Regal is getting pushed out of the picture. So, new champion, whatever. Now we go into the Hardy Boys with Lita versus the Acolytes with Jacqueline. Which is funny because I've been reading the Hardy Boys book, and they say every time they had to fight the Acolytes, they were rough as hell on the Hardys. Even though they had gained the Hardy Boys' respect you know, the Acolytes had gained their respect, or however that's supposed to go. They gained their respect early on in their career, but they still beat the crap out of them. And Jacqueline is also known for beating the crap out of people. So, okay. At the 2001 Royal Rumble, the Hardy Boys was fighting each other in the Rumble. It's every man for himself, right? Well, they kind of fought each other a lot, and were kind of fighting too much because they were the only people in the ring and they're trying to eliminate each other. I mean, that kind of sounds ridiculous, right? So, they go into this match having us to believe that the Hardy Boys are in hot water with each other and they're really having some problems and not being able to coexist because of what happened at the Rumble. So they're teasing a split. I kept thinking, man, if they split the Hardys, I'm going to be one upset 14-year-old, I swear. But they were fighting, they tried to do their poetry in motion, but they had a miscommunication, that doesn't happen. They, you know, Bradshaw knocks their heads off with the clothesline. You know, and they cannot get anything right. Matt does the twist of fate to Bradshaw, but I guess he wasn't paying attention as Jeff Hardy goes up and does the swanton. Here comes Farouk and does the Dominator. I guess they didn't realize that Farouk was the legal man and not the other guy who they was beating up. So, doesn't really go well for them, and Farouk gets the win with that Dominator. So, miscommunications as the Hardy Boys breaking up. Oh my gosh, this is killing me. I hope they don't. The match kind of sucked, but I mean, it wasn't, you know, it was kind of a storytelling element. It really wasn't going to be a 5-star classic any other way, so hey. Triple H is trying to convince everybody that, you know, he's got to have this match, he wants the match, he wants that title, and he gets tired of waiting on an answer, so he goes out to the parking lot awaiting Stone Cold Steve Austin's return to Raw or whatever, or coming to Raw, with his sledgehammer. He wants to greet him with that sledgehammer. And we get a nice little XFL truck in the background. Oh boy, I bet they wish they could blur that out too, along with the WWE logo, or WW, well, can I even say that? The World Wrestling Federation logo. Backstage, Stephanie is trying to convince Vince McMahon that they need the match, that Triple H deserves it, he's still taking it under advisement, and he's worried about Stephanie's safety. Like, he doesn't want to go out there and face Trish Stratus because she's Daddy's little girl. You know, she's like, man, I think you're more concerned about Trish Stratus in this. So they were still pushing that. Michael Cole has a backstage interview that was pre-taped with The Rock. The Rock is very sad-faced because he guaranteed that he was going to win the Royal Rumble, and guess what? He didn't. So he's very upset about that. Michael Cole asked him how he feels about not winning the Rumble, and he's like, man, I slapped the taste out of your mouth for asking me a question like that. You know, the question like that, and where am I going to go from now? Where am I going to go from here? I'm going to go straight to that WWE title. Somehow, some way, somewhere, I'm going to win that belt. But he was a lot more toned down because he was really upset. He calls Michael Cole an NSYNC wannabe with this little frosty top up there. So that was funny. Triple H is still waiting outside with the sledgehammer. Oh boy. The Rock and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, the new Intercontinental Champion, versus Chris Benoit, the previous Intercontinental Champion, and The Big Show. Okay. So, this match, typical match going in. Of course, Benoit looks great, but Jericho gets hit to the floor. Big Show chokeslams Jericho on the floor, and man, that looks sick. Jericho gets taken to the back because he's hurt so bad. The Rock is, you know, basically wrestling a 2-on-1, and he's fighting, but he's taking like 1, 2, even 3 German suplexes from Chris Benoit. That'll knock your head off, you know what I mean? So as they continue to fight, the crowd is on their feet. You know, the Rock is getting the crap beaten out of him. Benoit hits the crippler crossface on the Rock, and he's just reaching, and he's going to grab the rope, but he can't. But then he finally does. So they have to, you know, get that. Chris Jericho comes and takes out Benoit, throws him into the steel steps, so it's not so much of a 2-on-1 anymore. The Rock gets the rock bottom and the victory. So after the match, The Rock, you know, he's having a good time. But Big Show comes in and gives him a chokeslam. Gives Chris Jericho, gives him a chokeslam, whatever. Didn't really get that, but hey. Yeah, okay. Vince McMahon still taking stuff out of it under advisement. Oh yeah, and remember to buy the brand new VHS. Break the Walls Down. It's Jericho's first VHS tape. which I've never actually seen that, and I'm actually interested to see what they have to say about the guy, a guy who's been in the company for like 2 years at this point, and has just now won the Intercontinental Championship, which I'm sure isn't on the VHS. They're talking about Chyna re-injuring. At the Royal Rumble 2001, Chyna came back from her big pile driver neck brace injury. She can't wrestle no more. Now she's not 100%. She's got 5 days until the Royal Rumble, even though the Royal Rumble's in 7 days. 6 days. She comes to the Rumble, she does a handspring elbow because that's what divas do, and she re-injures her neck. So she got hurt again, and they gave her the Owen Hart treatment, like, oh my god, I really think that she's hurt. But Ivory comes out. Oh, I love Ivory. Ivory gets on the microphone because she's great on the microphone. She was awesome. She says, you know, this is what happens. I read your book and your depraved, lewd lifestyle. You know, it led you to this, and this is part of your demise and whatnot. But her opponent, Molly Holly. I love Molly Holly as well. She comes down to the ring and she says, I'm gonna shut your weaselly little mouth. So they continue to have a match. Molly pulls off a great Northern Light suplex because she's a great wrestler. Crash Holly, who JR, or actually Jerry the King Lawler, always calls him Elroy, which always makes me laugh. You know, he's trying to get involved, and they're just fighting and having their women's match. Their women's match actually lasted longer than that other match that lasted under a minute and a half, because this was actually almost 2 minutes. But Molly tries to go for the Molly go-round, I believe, but she misses. Ivory comes in and covers. So, yeah. Alright. Premonition time, I guess. Is that even the right word? Nah, it doesn't matter. They're showing the Tough Enough tapes. And, of course, most of them suck. And a lot of them actually look like they really wish that YouTube was around so they could sit around and talk about wrestling and stuff, because a lot of these camera angles are the same, and it just reminded me of, like, a YouTube 10 years before YouTube, you know what I mean? Or at least before the modern YouTube, I guess. But anyways, we see a future WWE employee on this reel of people. And of course it's the one guy that has like the half-second video, but it's none other than Josh Matthews. He was in Tough Enough and he actually went very far but didn't win. Those Tough Enough shows, man. They could not pump out stars, could they? Not very many of them. Okay. Rikishi versus Kane. Teddy Long is the referee. Oh my gosh. So they have a beatdown in the match, and it doesn't really go very far. Kane is getting the crap beat out of him, and Rikishi does his sit down on your chest thing, and he's pinning, or actually Kane beats him first. First of all, Kane beats the crap out of him, pins him. And there's a 1-2, and Rikishi kicks out, and I'm like, huh? And then I'm like, what? Because a half a second later, Haku comes running to the ring and breaks up the pin, but the pin's already been broken up because he kicked out. He missed his cue. And this won't even be the last time that we see a missed cue. So listen for that. But, so that match didn't go anywhere. And of course, here comes The Undertaker to take care of all this beatdown. But before he can get to the ring, they do that sit-down thing like I said. And Haku, yeah, okay, imagine this. Rikishi sits down on Kane, so his legs are spread out. And here's Kane's head in front. Well, here comes Haku doing a headbutt to Kane's head. Tell me that doesn't sound really perverse, perverted, and weird. It was. Trust me. Rikishi is very angry. There's a double choke slam. They beat the crap out of Rikishi. Kevin Kelly's interviewing Rikishi backstage. Says that he wants to challenge The Undertaker to a no-holds-barred match on SmackDown. He's really angry, and he's got that really, really mad face. They continue to talk about Drew Carey and his Improv All-Stars thing. Again, if the pay-per-view wasn't enough, if the build of the pay-per-view wasn't enough, they're still talking about it. Alright, get ready. It's time to say goodbye. It's time to salute and say goodbye to a couple of wrestlers that one we will not ever, well, one we won't see till like 2002, and two that we'll never ever see again, really. It's making me teary-eyed. It's Lowdown with Tiger Ali-Singh. We won't be seeing them again, and I mean, unless you were watching Sunday Night Heat, you may not even known who they were. But anyways, Chaz and D'Lo Brown with Tiger Ali-Singh. First is the new tag team champions of the Dudley Boyz. So, as Tiger Ali-Singh gets on the commentary, it's really funny, and I don't get this. Tiger Ali-Singh is not supposed to be from America or whatever. He's like, way over there, wherever that is. And he says, "About," like a Canadian. Now, I looked it up on Wikipedia. It says he lived in Canada for a long time. But I thought that you didn't pick up, like, little subtle things like that in languages unless you were born there. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know much about this guy. But anyways, Bubba Bomb, Tiger Ali-Singh is trying to give Jerry the King Lawler a turban. And, of course, he loves the turban. He's like, "Oh, yeah, this is really cool and everything." So they do the "What's Up?" Devon does off the top rope. And Chaz or somebody runs out there and grabs the tag team title belts and is going to hit the Dudley Boyz, but the Dudley Boyz end up hitting them, the lowdown people, and that causes a disqualification. Tiger Ali-Singh freaks out. "We're the champions! By God, we're the champions! Because we're the winners! Yes, we won the match! Ah!" But unfortunately, he did not win the match because it's a disqualification, and no one told him apparently. So there's a table inside of the ring because they did the "What's Up" thingy, and they said, "Devon, get the table." And Tiger Ali-Singh goes through the table, and "See you later, Tiger Ali-Singh. I'll never see you again." And Chaz, "See you. I will never see you again." And D-Lo, "Well, you'll really never do anything important in WWE again, so I'm very sorry about that, but it's actually true." Are you ready for the hardcore title match? I'm sure that you are. Oh my gosh. The hardcore title, or hardcore champion, Raven, awesome, versus Al Snow. Awesome talent, great instructor, amazing guy. If you ever hear an interview or a shoot or whatever, this is the guy you got to listen to. He's really smart about the business. So they go onto the stage, and the cameraman doesn't follow, though. They just show the top of the cage, which I'm like, what? But pyros go off and kaboom! So then the cameraman runs underneath to see what's going on. But, they're all knocked out. Raven's going, "Ah!" because of the concussive blast of the pyros or whatever. And of course, as soon as Raven gains consciousness, because of the pyro and the fire, guess what he grabs? Yes, a fire extinguisher. And he uses that fire extinguisher almost to completion. I mean, that thing is almost completely empty by the time he gets done with that. They fight through the catering place. There's some potted plants or something. A couple of tables they roll over as they go outside, and there's an oar. I don't know where this came from. They're outside the arena, and there's an oar. Al Snow's beating him with it. He's choking him with it. Raven falls down, and Al Snow pins him, and there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's a shadowy figure trying to break it up, but they fail. So once again, a missed opportunity. Once again, somebody missed their cue. But the shadowy figure appears to be a woman as she hits the 2x4 over Al Snow's head, and Raven pins. Al Snow's the champion for like 2 seconds as Raven wins the championship back, and the shadowy woman figure, who we don't know who it is, I guess we'll find out in a couple weeks, the escape driver, the person who's been helping Raven escape the hardcore title matches in the car all this time, they speed away. Alright, so Michael Cole's interviewing Vince. He is now making the match with Stephanie and Triple H and Kurt Angle and Trish Stratus a mixed tag match. So Triple H, he's still waiting for Austin. He doesn't know about this. Stephanie comes back and tells Triple H about the news, and he is so mad because he doesn't get his title match. At WWE New York, we see K-Quick, which is R-Truth, hanging out with Too Cool and doing some dancing and everything as they entertain the fans at WWE New York. Now it's time for the main event. It is Triple H and Stephanie McMahon Helmsley versus Kurt Angle and Trish Stratus, intergender match. Now, I'm not going to waste any time on this because this match did not really do anything because it's an intergender match. The match was actually pretty good until the women got involved. Nothing against them, but yeah. Stephanie is, fighting Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus gets the pedigree. Trish Stratus is dead, and Stephanie rolls over and gets the pin. So that's how that happens. And JR says she just got pedigreed out of her bra. And a quick note, remember this. I don't remember where it was. I wrote it in my notes, but I forgot to mention it. Somewhere in this episode, JR screams, "Oh my cocks!" And, he was trying to say, "Oh my gosh," but he said, "Oh my cocks." And it was the most funniest thing, and I died laughing, and I probably rewatched it about 500 times. But it was fun. Now, Angle's helping Trish Stratus out of the ring, and because she's all hurt, she's dead, you know, she took the thing, and then as Triple H is in the ring, all of a sudden, Stone Cold Steve Austin runs in there and beats the crap out of Triple H. Austin just punching him. He hits the stunner, throws some beers flying around everywhere, and that's how Raw goes off the air.